Matt, let's look at the big picture here. How have Elon Musk's tweets impacted his net worth?
His acquisition of Twitter in general, dating back to when he first attempted to buy the company in mid-April before trying to back out, and over the course of several months, and was finally forced to acquire the company a couple months ago. All of that, distraction has really decimated his fortune, largely tied to the decrease in Tesla's stock price, which is down, 50%, more than 50% this year. Most of that since he announced the acquisition. He was the first person ever worth $300 billion back in November 2021. And now, as we sit here today, he's worth about $160 billion, and he's lost his place as the world's richest person to Bernard Arnault of LVMH. A lot of that, confusion and distraction were tied to specific tweets, announcing his, on and off again decisions related to the acquisition. He'd wake up one morning and tweet, I've decided not to acquire Twitter, and Tesla's stock price would, skyrocket. And then he'd tweet the opposite, and it would, go sinking back down. So yeah, it's just the Twitter acquisition has been a mess for Tesla. And I think a lot of Tesla investors who have been pushing him to step down from his role at Twitter will likely be pretty happy if that ends up being the case.
Why is Tesla being so directly impacted by Musk's volatility on Twitter?
Yeah, so the couple big concerns for Tesla investors when he first announced the acquisition were actually three, really. One, that he would have to sell a bunch of Tesla stock to finance the acquisition, which would apply downward pressure to Tesla's stock price. He's now sold more than $20 billion worth of Tesla stock since announcing the acquisition. They worried that he would basically take out loans secured by his Tesla shares, which then might get margin called, forcing him to sell more Tesla stock. He originally ditched those, but with Twitter seemingly bleeding cash at this point, the idea that he might take out some of those margin loans has been sort of resurfaced. And then just the general distraction. This is, he's the CEO of Tesla. He already runs another company, SpaceX. And to add Twitter to the mix, it's a lot for anyone to juggle up until this point. He's proven uniquely capable of juggling multiple businesses, but you never really saw him with SpaceX in the news daily, with a daily controversy like you do on Twitter. So I think Tesla investors probably wonder how, when he's tweeting all day long at all hours of the night, how he could possibly be focusing on running his automotive business, which has had a difficult year, even without the Twitter acquisition.
I do want to talk about Tesla specifically. So a Morning Consult poll back in November found that his favorability among Democrats dropped and rose among Republicans, which is a problem for Tesla specifically because Democrats are more than twice as likely to buy an electric car compared to Republicans. So do you think that this damage to Tesla's brand is irreversible?
Yeah, there's an analyst at Wedbush by the name of Dan Ives who a lot of people follow as one of the loudest voices on Tesla and Musk, and he's for a long time been a Tesla bull, and he's among this group of Elon and Tesla bulls who have seemed to turn against him recently. He indicated just that. It's a huge branding issue in addition to all these other things we talked about. Tesla, to quote him, Tesla is Musk, Musk is Tesla. And the Musk brand has certainly been hurt by all of the shenanigans related to the Twitter acquisition.
And you're saying the brand is hurt. Do you think Elon Musk's brand specifically, his personal brand, is permanently damaged by this Twitter chaos?
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to say. It seems like he's got a big hole to dig himself out of. I think he was a somewhat polarizing figure to begin with, but nowhere near to the extent we're seeing now. And I think it'd be hard to change a lot of the minds who are now firmly, against him, I would imagine. But, he does, still retain a pretty rabid following, I guess, amongst the people who've been with him there all along. So maybe he's a more polarizing figure than he's ever been before. Sort of like the politics in this country, more divided than ever. But yeah, as to whether he can win back some of the relatively large group, I would say at this point that he's alienated. I think he has his work cut out for him. I don't want to totally rule that out, but it seems like it'll be an uphill battle.